What does it really take to have a food idea and distribute it nationwide to grocery stores everywhere? Our episode's guest today will be sharing her journey. Glovisor welcomes Vlania's Tres Leches en Pasteleria founder, Tania Marrero Gonzalez.
Hi, Joe. Thank you so much for the introduction and the welcome to your Glovisor podcast.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you. So tell us, what do you do?
Yeah, so I am, of course, like you mentioned, the founder of Vlania's Tres Leches and Pasteleria. Also, I have a DBA under my LLC, which is Vlania's Panaderia. It's going to be like the retail space for all the products in bakery items that we will be producing and selling to the consumer. And but our main product is Tres Leches cake. Our Tres Leches cakes are very authentic. They follow the 1940 recipe, and we have over 30 flavors. So we
Wow.
give a modern touch to the bakery, and it is inspired in a Hispanic bakery setting, if you will.
Wow. So 30 different, you said, flavors?
Yes, correct. 30 different flavors. So how I came to 30 different flavors, it's part of the brand story. So I'll begin with that. I was raised and born in Ponce, Puerto Rico. In my family, for all celebrations, we have a Tres Leches cake being like the centerpiece of our celebrations. But then when I turned 23, I moved to the United States and Tres Leches was not available. It was not like, oh, I'll go to this store today and get me a Tres Leches. It was not like that. So I miss that tradition. I was living in Colorado and moved to Florida. Even so in Florida, it was still not as accessible. Anywho, I took it upon myself to learn the recipe. And I made it available for my family. And then one day I order a chocolate Tres Leches cake. I thought it was going to be this delicious chocolate indulging experience. But because the milk mixture was so intense that it tasted like a regular Tres Leches, and I was just like the biggest disappointment. And I said, I'm going to create a flavor, and I will make sure that that flavor profile, it's the one that people taste. So it doesn't get lost in the milk mixture, because mind you, a Tres Leches cake, it has this mixture of condensed milk, whole milk, evaporated milk. So it's a lot of flavors in this cake. So because of that, you have to engineer how you want to balance the recipe to make sure that it shows that the flavor profile that you say it is, you will taste it, if that makes sense. So that's how the 30 flavors came to be. The
Right.
30, I just became crazy with one flavor after the other. And all of a sudden, I felt like I'm an expert in creating flavors for my Tres Leches cakes. So
Sure.
that's why the 30 flavors. Funny enough, since we're talking a little bit about the brown story, a little bit about myself is that I have a bachelor's degree in psychology and mental health, and then a master's in counseling and human services. But I love baking, and somehow I just like switched my career to this, entrepreneurship journey. And fast forward, I have the LLC, the Vlania Tres Leches and Pasteleria, with the Tres Leches cake that are the store product of our company.
So, so one thing is that I find very interesting and we really want to know is the Puerto Rican culture has a lot of yummy treats. Why did you pick the Tres Leches cake?
Correct. It's true. It has a yummy treat. I even have people ask me like, I'm wondering why you don't sell flan. Well, I can tell you this, based on my experience this past 2 years, more specifically, being out there in improving the recipe and getting to know my customer, is that Tres Leches brings something that other desserts doesn't bring, and that is nostalgia. It is attached to a memory, a very heartfelt, emotional memory. And even if it is, because, like I mentioned before, Tres Leches is not only Puerto Rican, it's actually Hispanic. It originated back when condensed milk became a thing and canned goods became a thing. And recipes were printed on the cans, and then it got popularized in Nicaragua, and from there
Ah,
it was a hit. So, but it brings the memory regardless of like the country, the nationality, and even here the Anglo customers, there's always a memory of, I remember when I went to Mexico for my vacations and I tried Tres Leches for the first time. It was just delicious. And the excitement that they see when they recognize Tres Leches, because Tres Leches is a Spanish term, but somehow, some way, they know what it is, because again, it's just that nostalgia, which I saw that as an opportunity to add emotional storytelling to the brand. This is a well-established brand, well-structured, and started tapping into those stories and created the mascot for the company, which is Vlania. She is Vlania, and with it, I am currently working on the illustration for the first children's book, and through her, I'm going to share those memories, that nostalgia that evoke in many cultures, many people and even like through generations. Because I thought at the beginning, my generation, my customer was going to be millennials, um, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, but no, it's like even beyond that. Boomers, I have boomers who look for my products. Xers, everybody and their mother. So
wow.
that, you know, those 2 years really solidify that definitely Tres Leches is the dessert and the star product of Vlania's Tres Leches and Pasteleria.
That's great. So,
Yes.
I love this story, but before we move on to the business side, can
Yeah.
you describe for listeners a little bit of the brand of the Vlania? What, like a little bit more of the physical characteristics, and then also I know that your colors, I mean, you've chosen colors to be consistent through all your brands. So can you describe that a little more?
Absolutely. So the brand have transformed this past 2 years. We have gone through two rebranding, and initially the cartoon was more simple, bold lines, but then eventually turned into this chibi style Japanese anime cartoon that actually evoke and speak to younger generations, because Japanese animation is very popular nowadays, not only in the United States, but all over the world. So she became the main character. And when we were out there in the markets just sharing our Tres Leches cake, I had customers who walked to the tent because of the story behind, of the colors. Purple was picked organically because the first company that did the rebranding, when they presented the color palette, purple stand out. And then I always joke because in my family, my mom, my cousin, and my sister were the ones obsessed with purple. I was not that person. But then with my brand, I slowly became obsessed with purple. And look at my hair. I think it's lovely. Every time I go, I am the personification of my brand because I love it so much. And I think that companies also out there, there's no many companies out there that uses purple as their main primary color. And all the people that I met who love purple is an obsession. So when they go to me, it's like a magnet. They just like float around the color. So I just combine, the mascot, the colors, and then I thought, well, a modern bakery inspired in more particularly my panaderia. Panaderia is how we call it in Spanish. The panaderia in my hometown in Ponce, because the panaderias over there, it was It's just not a place to buy baked goods and sandwiches and all that. It was a place for community to sit down and talk about today's topics, from politics to el barrio and all the chisme that was happening around. And at the same time, you will eat, your sandwich pastrami, and then sandwich jamón y queso with your cafe, your coffee. And it was just like this very community experience. So I slowly shaped the brand to be that modern boutique bakery inspired in Hispanic roots, with the intention of offering regional items that people can find in a specific locations. For example, the two sandwiches that I'm going to offer through Vlania's Panaderia, they're from Puerto Rico, but more specifically, the recipe from Ponce. The Cuban sandwich is going to be Tampa style, which includes salami. And then the Tres Leches cake, it's inspired, like I mentioned before, in the 1940 original recipe back from Nicaragua. So slowly but surely, you have this brand who celebrate cultures, who celebrate multiple identities, multi-bilingual, open to the community, invite the community to get adventures, to explore, to look beyond and just experience something so unique that that it cannot be found anywhere. So it's a brand with different layers. And then the emotional storytelling, which
Right.
Vlania as the mascot. In her little buddy, the Coqui Frog, the name is Saying. And both together, they will embark in adventures.
I love it. I love it because I think the branding is very important. As you said, I think it attracts people. And I think when it's consistent, because that's one
Yes.
thing where you have different branding, it doesn't work as well. But what you've done is you've done the color, you've done it consistently all across the board. So it looks fantastic. Okay. So going back to your top major products. So when you were ready to get the Tres Leches cake out there, you're thinking, okay, so my dream is to get it out to the world. We want the whole world to eat this. So did you do research as to if there was other cakes out in the same space where they're being sold? What kind of research went into this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I love immersion. So anytime that I go to a place that I find they sell Tres Leches, I buy it, I experience it, and, go from there. The 2 years at the local markets, they receive data from, what I call pastelitos, my customers, and they define, okay, what is so great about Tres Leches that I cannot find and somewhere else. And let me tell you, people love Tres Leches and are very familiar with Tres Leches. They're very particular about their Tres Leches. No, if it doesn't taste like my abuela, then this is not a good Tres Leches. If it doesn't taste like the restaurant that I go to, then this is not a good Tres Leches. And I was like up for the challenge. I was like, let me give you a sample. If you don't like it, that's fine. And lo and behold, it was a hit and people love it. And the fact that I get to mention that, oh, I have over 30 flavors and I try to rotate them and what have you. And one of the things that they mentioned was it's not sweet. It's not overly sweet. They feel like they can eat it completely. The frosting, it has a soft texture, velvety texture. And this is something that I don't mention a lot, but I actually have the recipe for my traditional abuela's classic. That's the name of the traditional flavor.
Mm.
I have it in vegan, gluten-free, lactose-free, dairy-free, keto, and
Oh,
sugar-free. So yes, I have those recipes as well. So it's not so much about, you know, looking at Tres Leches and just assume, oh, I know what is this like. Vlania just give you the opportunity to indulge in a new version of this beloved dessert. So that's how I got the opportunity to improve and get to know the Tres Leches at the market. At the same time, I did my research and um, with the business plan that Prospera USA paid for me, gave that result. Tres Leches is a dessert that is not not many people have experiment with it, and because of that, it is turned into the niche of Vlania, Tres Leches, and Pasteleria. You do a Google search, and it's very hard to find places that you can feel confident to say, I'm going to buy a Tres Leches, a pistachio Tres Leches. You will not find it. You'll probably have to travel hours or fly to another state. But even so, it's just this one location in
Wow.
the middle of like the corner of like United States.
Sure.
So, and then Crumble offer Tres Leches. They have a rotate part. It's part of their rotation, and they have 3 flavors. But their Tres Leches, and I love Crumble. Don't get me wrong, but their Tres Leches is more commercial. They use cake mixes. So the one thing about the Tres Leches, the cake sponge, is that it's very dry because it doesn't need to soak all that liquid. But when you use a cake mix that has oil and butter, then it's just different. It doesn't absorb as well. It's just the whole thing. Talking about learning the art of this very specific dessert, Tres Leches is very unique, which makes it even more special, if you know what I mean. So, yes, that's how I kind of like navigated and research on this Tres Leches cake. I naturally am a researcher. I love to get data, qualitative, quantitative, and it just came everything organically. And I put it in this structure, in this company, in this brand, and this is, this it is the result
Got it.
of all that.
Excellent. So if I went to my local grocery store, regardless of where you are, would I be able to find Tres Leches cake there today?
Um, you might not, and you might, and you might not. You really have to know which store ha, has it available.
So not every state has this, not every store has it.
No, no.
Okay.
The top of my head, yes, there's one big store, but they all and they became very adventurous with the flavors of the Tres Leches. But they have like maybe they offer like 3, 4 flavors, but it's the problem that they have, in my opinion, is that flavor profile. It's just not. You will try it, and it's just like it's just it doesn't taste like what it says. It does. So but yeah, no, at least in Florida, but then in other states, I'm pretty sure it's the same because Florida is it has a large community of Hispanics, and even being here, my experience is it's not like I can walk out and find it and make 100% guarantee it's going to be there waiting for me. It's not like that. So I really doubt that other states will have that accessibility, if you will.
Got it. So that sounds like you're probably gonna in your research of where you're gonna be selling, there's also demand-driven decisions of,
Mhm,
of the specific population that may demand it more than others until it
mhm,
gets, more mainstream, I guess.
mhm.
So are you working on that currently, like trying to figure out the demand-driven maybe places where they wanna buy more of this?
Yes, absolutely. That's part of the action items that I have as I expand, especially through wholesale partnerships. And I'm really looking forward to see the data on that. In my experience, I can tell you that, like I mentioned before, there's in terms of like customers, and if we put them in groups, I see them as generation. It performed well across generation in different um cultures. And I say this because, and I'll share this very specific anecdote. While I was there at the markets, I had a group of people from India who actually will walk to the tent. I had a mini fridge, and that's where I put the tres leches cakes. And they would just open the cake. I didn't have to ask them about, are you familiar with tres leches? I mean, they just knew what they were doing. Mind you, India, it's another side of the world. Years passed until I went to this Indian restaurant, and I saw that they had a tres leches cake in their menu. And I was curious about that and I started a conversation. It turns out that India see Tres Leches, they know about Tres Leches cake, and it is this luxurious experience that they may find in some like luxurious bakeries in India. So it is popular in India. They know about Tres Leches, and that's why it makes me believe and intuitive as well that Tres Leches cake will do really well with many markets, if that makes sense. But then again, I need to generate the data and look for it in opportunities with partnerships all across the US to see where, to solidify that perceptive data that I saw this past 2 years. If that makes sense.
Of course. So now let's just say someone else is this listening or watching is thinking of maybe producing something or selling something. Since you're already in that journey with the hopes of going distributing in every major grocery store, obviously worldwide if you could, what is the process that here's the idea, you've made the best product ever. Thus far, what do you can you share that is part of the journey to getting everything to, let's just say, nationwide grocery stores? What's that process like?
Yeah, absolutely. So once that I was given the business plan, it was definitely an indicator that okay, this company is ready to scale up. The projection of a 12-month period was 1.5 million in sales through wholesale partnerships. Uh, Before doing that, I decided to then do the DBA for Vlania Panaderia to start with the cash flow to sustain that wholesale partnership. While doing that, I sent my Abuela's Classic flavor to a lab in Miami for a 6-month frozen study just to have documentation that my Tres Leches will be able to maintain their quality regardless of how long they can stay frozen. And the max will be I guess the standard is 6 months for frozen desserts. So right now we are entering in month number 2 where I'll get the first result. But I can tell you that the baseline, I got the best results to start with. In the meantime, while I do that, I will engage with distributors and, showcase what I've done thus far in how this product has a good velocity. When I say velocity, it's the amount of units that move per week. And then also a good profit margin for the distributors, for the distributor partners, which is like 40%. And that is really good and attractive. So, in fact, I already have a pitch meeting with a national distributor, and they were actually really surprised to find that in this short time I was talking about structure, about systems, about quality. So this is not just, something trendy, something that it's just a product that I got creative with it and here you are. No, this is a brand that has structure, that has system, that it's built to be successful, highly value customer service where humans are placed in the center of it. And when I say customers, it is not only my pastelitos. When think about customer, it's also start with me, with myself, with self-care, and also with my team. So to sustain that quality in customer experience in all that entails with the company, it will be consistent. And therefore my wholesale partners will be able to experience that level of customer experience, quality, consistency. So they at the same time it will sustain the sales. This is a product that generate loyalty. Repeat customers come back even month after to get more.
Okay.
So, at this stage, we are in that area where we're getting ready to solidify in paper, in numbers, our Tres Leches are ready to scale up and ready to conquer the world, if you will.
Excellent. So one thing is, so the laboratory
Mhm.
results are like, that's a must, right? Before you can move on to the next step?
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's why I haven't, it's one thing that I can go to the distributors and retail large retail stores and say, oh, these are my Tres Leches, this is what I've done so far and whatever. But when I have something that can show them my Tres Leches can be frozen for 6 months and they will maintain their quality, then that makes Vlania Tres Leches, they position it in a place of trust, right? I'm going to, it makes them feel like, okay, this is a great product because I'm going to invest in it and I can, keep it 6 months and start making it move and, go places. So definitely, I'm not moving forward until I get the 6 months, but it doesn't mean that I'm not preparing, both mentally and physically and my employees in continue structuring my company to prepare for that moment for those 6 months when I get the okay that, hey, we're ready to scale up. It's just the companies, that's what they should do. If you want to get to a national level, it's just like a checkpoint. I am in one checkpoint at this right now. And then the next one will be the 6 months. And then after that, you know, how can we make wholesale operations? And I already have a plan for that as well.
That's great. So, all right. So 6 months comes around, you get
Mhm.
the amazing report. We're going to be optimistic. We know it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So then what happens? You go back to the distributors. When do you think that, we can start to see that in our local markets? How soon?
Uh, so 6 months will be up in the summer. I already have a national distributor who will onboard me. I already have the paperwork and what have you. I'll probably look into revisiting another business plan and from there see how much capital I will need to then do the wholesale operations, because with wholesale operations you need to have the capability to move pallets, to have enough space to, you know distribute, to send the product to distribution, to package them in a way that keep the quality and safety of the products in good shape, to then, send them to the distribution centers. So if I can project when this will happen, I'll say about a year. In the meantime, Vlania's Tres Leches will be available through Vlania Panaderia locally. When I say locally, where headquarters are located, and we will be building our brands and just work on that brand awareness and do our due diligence to continue to add value, perceive value, to our brand and our products, so when the Tres Leches hit the markets, people knows, oh, like, oh my gosh, look, there's a Vlanis Tres Leches here. Oh, this month they have pistachio flavor. Great. Oh, I'm wondering what they're going to have next month. So that's so far what I envision happening once we get there. So in the
Excellent.
meantime, here we are.
Excellent. So it sounds like you have the right recipe for the cake and the right recipe for the business too. So
Yes. Yeah,
wonderful.
absolutely.
So I think it sounds to me like you're ready to roll. So it sounds like maybe you may need to start talking to probably investors, distributors who may want to help you grow the business and to distribute this cake throughout. Is that like the right people that you need to talk to today?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Funding is definitely one of the pain points that the company have right now, because we're starting, right? So we need to start building those numbers, those sales. Like so far, everything has been startup. This is the idea. Let's improve our products. We were able to solidify how good the brand is, how good the product is. Now let's scale up. So We will use Vlania's Panaderia to prove to the investors and people, financial institutions out there, that what we see in the past 2 years, it's going to materialize. We will become true, and this is why we need you and you need us to make this dream a reality. United States in general, I think we are in that period in time where we're open and craving multicultural items, multicultural experiences.
Absolutely. I think we're looking for something different all the time.
Yes.
Just, the same and the same and the same. We just need something. Sometimes we just need something different. Sometimes we need to go back to our grandma's recipe,
Hmm.
obviously. But, for those of us who didn't have that grandma who made that kind of cake, we need something different.
Hmm.
So it's pretty exciting. So, all right. So this is it. This is the time to really talk to Tania now before she's in 2,000 stores, and then it'll be too expensive to talk to her. So,
Exactly.
got to do it today.
This
So,
is your
Tanya, tell us, if someone wants to talk to you, someone wants to talk to you about investment, someone wants to say, hey, I want to meet with you so I can try this cake, where can they go to find out more?
Oh, absolutely. So we are present in social media. All of our handles are at Vlania's Tres Leches. And then we have our website, www.vlaniastresleches.com. And also we have our email address, which is vlania@vlaniastresleches.com.
Excellent. All right. This is the time to talk to her today. Let's not wait any time before she's in those 2,000 stores and, we're walking down the aisle and we get to see the Tres Leches cake. We'll remember this podcast. We'll remember this episode for sure.
I
All right,
appreciate it.
Tanya, thank you so much for being here today. And we wish you the best and look forward to seeing you at the next store.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe, for the opportunity.